Well, Max is at it again, folks. Will The Last of Us Season 2 be better than the games? Stick around to find out. Welcome back to Nighthawk Media. I'm your host, Ian Allen, and today, The Last of Us Season 2 trailer just dropped. And I gotta say, I am heavily surprised and just awestrucken at what they have done with this specific season. First off, let's just talk about the trailer. The trailer, from what we see, is it's going in a little bit of a different direction than it did at the beginning of the second game. At the second game, it started with Joel and Tommy talking about what happened with Ellie. In this season, it looks like we're having that conversation with Joel and someone else, because in the first season, Maria was a African-American lady, and in this season, it looks like he's talking to someone else. I don't know who that would be, but I'm excited to learn who and figure out who. Obviously, this season is going to be an adaptation of the game itself. Obviously, we see characters like Dina, Abby, Joel, Tommy. I think we see mostly Ellie, or at least in this season, we'll probably be focusing on Ellie more than Joel. There are a lot of very similar shots compared to the game and to the TV show. In my opinion, the first season of The Last of Us does a great depiction or a great adaptation of the first game. From what I have heard, this second game will be divided into 3 seasons for The Last of Us. We'll be having a second season for part of the second game. We'll have a third season for another part of the second game, and as well as a fourth and final season probably for the last half of the second game. And for those of you who don't know, I played The Last of Us 2 back in 2020 during the height of the pandemic. It was one of my favorite games of all time at that point. I had never played a game that was that emotional, that went into that depth. I had never played a game like that before, and I never knew about the first game. I didn't know anything about The Last of Us. And seeing this already, it brings so much joy to my heart. And I know not a whole lot of people like the second game because of the story, and there's some controversy behind it. Personally, I don't care. I don't care if you think that there are certain parts when it comes to characters being, gay or straight or certain, whatever you want to call it. That doesn't affect you in any way, shape, or form. The trailer shows us a lot of different shots and images that they've recreated from said game, especially the beginning portion of the game where we are, playing as Ellie and Jackson. I think they're going to try and show that for most of the first episode of season 2. I don't know how far they're going to go with this second season. From what I have seen so far, it looks like they're going to be doing the first half of the Seattle trip with Ellie. Honestly, I think a lot of these episodes that we see, or at least some of the footage shown in this first teaser, it's going to be basically like the first maybe 2-3 episodes of season 2. I'm just very excited to see how these different character dynamics are going to work. There are a lot of scenes in The Last of Us 2 that I'm very excited to see. One of my favorites is Ellie playing the guitar in the middle of Seattle, and she's playing, Take On Me to Dina. That whole scene in the game is one of my favorite scenes. I know it's also not a very pleasant scene to watch, but there's so much emotion in Joel's death in the game, so I don't know how much of that they're going to show with this specific season, but I really hope they do justice for it. When it comes to character dynamic, it's going to be interesting because this second game had a character that we did not personally like because this other character kills Joel in the game. It's going to be very interesting to see how their character dynamics are going to work, which kind of castings they casted for each one of these actors and actresses. The way I see them doing it is we will play the beginning of the game to when Abby confronts Ellie at the end of Seattle Day 3 in the game. So I think that's going to be season 2. Season 3 will kind of pick up showing we get to know Abby's side of the story a little bit more. So we will see her go from some flashbacks and then all the way to Seattle Day 3 where she meets Ellie again and she's pointing the gun at her. So I think that specific scene is where season 3 will end, and then season 4 will basically be the end of the game where they're fighting at the beginning of the season, and then they'll have their final fight at the end of the season, and that's when Ellie lets Abby go. I'm just very excited for this next season. I might also try to stream The Last of Us remake and Last of Us 2 remastered on the channel one day, but maybe I'll do that in lead up to this TV show. I don't know. I'm just very excited. I actually might rewatch the first season of The Last of Us again just so I can remember what the hell even happened. That's it for today, everyone. Let me know what your thoughts are on The Last of Us Season 2 trailer, and let me know which scene of the game you are most excited to see them recreate in live action. Remember to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Nighthawk Media. Peace.